This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Today's podcast is brought to you by Leverage, a new fully featured decentralized futures exchange without compromise. Are you ready to trade the future of crypto today? Well, Leverage is a DEX, so you can trade with your keys and sign orders just with one click, and Leverage is fast. Yes, indeed, Leverage is powered by Gluon, a new layer 2 solution with the scalability and speed of a centralized exchange and the super low fees of a DEX. Yes, Leverage, the new exchange that combines the best features of CeFi and DeFi, so you can trade crypto spot or crypto derivatives with up to 100x leverage while maintaining control of your assets at all times. It's like William Gibson said, the future is already here, but in this case, it's evenly distributed and completely decentralized. Go to leverage.io, and leverage is spelled Leverj.io, and trade the future of crypto today.
Yeah, boy!
My guest today is Jonas. Jonas is the co-founder and chief technology officer at Syntropy. Now, Syntropy is transforming the public internet into a secure and user-centric internet where encryption and optimized performance are built in and automatically enabled for anything and everything connected to it. This is sounding pretty cool. This is sounding ambitious. Hey, welcome to the show, Jonas.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So before we get into what Syntropy is, and this is going to get a little bit deep and technical, I can sense it already. So before we do that, let's get an introduction to your good self, a little bit of background, and where you're from and your career path to date. The short version. Go.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So I'm originally from Lithuania. That's where now a lot of the development power is. But I graduated in Edinburgh University and then worked in JP Morgan, Royal Bank of Scotland in application development, and then into entrepreneurship. And ever since Ethereum came out, Bitcoin was still young. I was sort of involved in crypto in technology-wise. I tried to mine Ethereum on Amazon web servers, failed, but it kept me sort of looking at that space. And then I met Dom, which I knew for many years before, and he at the time had another startup working with telecommunications, and we sort of put our heads together and started to think how blockchain technologies can be used to solve some of the problems we were facing in our careers.
Very nice, and well, I think that is a nice lead-in then to perhaps just being able to understand what Syntropy is and what the problem is that you guys are trying to solve. And I think this is, as I said before, this one might get a little bit technical, but that is absolutely okay. So why don't you give us the kind of the high-level idea of what Syntropy is and what you're trying to do here?
Yeah, sure. So as you pointed out before or without it getting technical, I think what Syntropy is best defined by our vision, and the vision is made up of these things. So Syntropy is the new internet connectivity layer for all users. That's very important. We wanted to make it a global unified layer of internet, which is fair, secure, and optimized. Then what Syntropy makes is every connection is trusted, secure, private, and decentralized, always fair for every user. And also, Syntropy is enabled by users themselves, shifting power to sort of from the internet service providers, large companies, private networks, enterprises, into the hands of the users to provide this new connectivity layer as well as the optimizations. And our vision is also fostering openness, innovation, democratization of the next generation of the internet. So, it's really made up to be an open, decentralized layer for the future of technology, which cannot live without internet.
Yeah, and I think a really good way of understanding this is, I guess to put it in context, the problem with the existing internet, right, is that, it was built to provide robust communication between a small number of trusted hosts, right? And then it exploded in, user numbers, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. So now we have this massive global network of networks, and it wasn't really designed in the beginning to be, the kind of the underlying infrastructure for e-commerce or blockchains or gaming or social media or any of these things that we've kind of tried to build on top of it. But it's still a really strong foundation, and it's what we've got to work with, and it has done amazing things for the world. So you can't argue with any of that. But so if that is the context, right? So the internet was built for maybe resiliency, but not efficiency, and certainly not for security or privacy or any of these things that we're kind of missing in the modern internet layer. So if that is the case, can you kind of expand on that? What is the problem with the internet today, and how is Syntropy trying to improve on that?
Absolutely. So you're very correct. So internet is, as we are now calling it, the best transport network for data in the world, because it grew up so vast and it reaches every corner in the world, and basically every device supports the connectivity. So that's what is great about it. But as you mentioned, there are some core like design problems which are fundamental, and they're really the three core problems. Now I can expand on those. So first one is there is no trust in security and privacy on the internet, because most of the internet security and privacy relies on third parties. It's actually either certificates, which you use every time you're going everywhere online and it shows you a secure lock. You're trusting certificate providers, or you're trusting third parties, whether you're using VPN or using the Amazon Web Services or any service or application, then you rely on that service provider. So it's impossible currently to facilitate secure connection on internet in a completely trustless way, unless you literally put your hands in in the devices you want to connect and exchange those keys manually. So there is no global trustless security provider, and it can no longer serve the internet, because you can never trust that your security is working, because or you can never trust the privacy of it, because it always relies on third-party providers, and that becomes a huge problem now, both for enterprises and users. And the second one is there is, as you mentioned, no global unified intelligence or data routing. So internet works sort of as a best effort basis, and not even best effort. It is a very good distributed protocol, but it just tries to deliver data. And then everyone is trying to make their own solution on top, be it a private network or using third-party services to make it work well. And that's where the billions of infrastructure investments come, and so on. So there's no unified global intelligence layer, and that's why you cannot have a connection which is user-centric and works for the application out of the box, or for the user out of the box. So that here, also comes all the problems with the net neutrality, etc. And that and that goes to the second core design problem, is that there is no decentralized governance and control. So the internet routing and performance is controlled by the service providers and ISPs as well, who would happily route your data according to their business needs, or very often on the lower cost basis, and then makes the experience for every user sort of dependent on what application you're using, or what is the business relationship, or what is the country you're in, etc. So, the first problem is that is decentralized only in a way that anyone can connect to it, but there is no performance or intelligence layer on top. And that's only, allowed by blockchain technologies, which can make possible things like having optimization as well as security work for the user out of the box, instead of going through all of the layers of intermediaries trying to make their own solution and then sell it or give it for one reason or another to the users.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this is quite heavy duty stuff, right? So, if we want to understand hard problems or complex problems, one of the strategies that I use, Jonas, and I'm being slightly facetious here, but go with me. So, you'll be familiar with Naval Ravikant, right? And he is quite good at explaining complex ideas in really simple terms, and then he will distill these down into further nuggets of wisdom that he will tweet, right? So you'll be familiar because I stalked you on Twitter, and I saw that you'd retweeted a Naval tweet, and I think it really gets to the crux of what we're talking about here. So Naval said there are 3 epochs of the internet. Number 1 is web, number 2 is mobile, and number 3 is blockchains. And at a really simple level, that's what we're talking about, right? Do you want to just kind of explain what Naval is getting at there?
Sure. So I think in a more simple terms is, the current internet, and that's just my take on it, to simplify it even more. The current internet is for the users, or when it started for the users. It's people wanting to send data to another computer, and then they connect those 2 computers with a cable. And the internet, started as just a bunch of cables as a way to send data. Then it evolved into the internet for sort of the applications, which is, software is more and more the user of the internet, even though the end user is still person, but there's a lot of data being sent in an automatic way by software for our software. And in the future, what's sort of starting right now, I think internet will be more and more connecting blockchains and devices, small devices together. And that sort of goes in line with what I believe, that every device needs to communicate also through blockchain, as opposed to through another service provider or application, etc. So the way I see internet in the future is blockchains being connected, and then devices being connected to blockchains, which sort of makes it away from people exchanging data to sort of this new world order where every device is being connected to every device, and that's why they're connected through blockchains. And internet also is now, with the help of us or others, evolving to internet for blockchains as well, to interact between each other.
And if we take this outside of, look at it from outside the, say, engineering point of view, what are some real world use cases? What are the kind of things that average everyday people, whether they're trying to use blockchains or not, but just say, if we extrapolate out 10 years into the future, what are some of the use cases that will be possible in this new world that aren't possible now?
Yeah, so what I believe, it starts with sort of a simple use cases, which are things like reliability, for example. Now, do you want to drive in a car which internet connectivity is managed by, name a company, either one or 2 of them as a backup? It doesn't make you feel very safe if you know that your life sort of depends on a single company and whatever the name would be, or an internet service provider or something. At the same time, do you imagine that in 10 years, drones in South Africa would connect to drones in North America through, again, name a company, right? It's even hard to imagine. So then when we imagine the internet and sort of the world in the future, we imagine devices being connected, data being shared, virtual reality sends a lot of data somewhere to digest and receive for you notifications and things. Your devices, every piece and car in every piece in a car, will have its own internet connectivity to make sure that tells the engine what's wrong with it and so on. So I think there's numbers like 50 billion new devices being connected in the next 5 to 10 years together or to the internet.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one of the reasons people are so excited about the future of the internet and just, online marketplaces, crypto, blockchains, because there are so many new people coming online, and they will just bring incredible new waves of creativity and innovation to bear on this amazing thing we call the internet. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But
maybe one more point for the future, why it is vastly different from today's internet and technology, is that more and more, as I sort of hinted before, software will talk with software and devices will talk to devices autonomously. So, be it cars, but then small devices as well. And with the current internet, which heavily relies on sort of centralized technologies done and hosted and looked after by people with their phones open during the night, as well as the devices which are sort of programmed, very specifically to do one thing, not another. It will change into devices and software making more and more decisions on their own, sort of in a probabilistic manner, and then exchanging data. And the internet connectivity layers right now, they're not, you cannot you cannot program devices to connect and disconnect and do this or that, because it requires third-party software, and software changes, software can go down, they can go bankrupt, etc. So in the future, for devices to be able to reliably make their own decisions and send their own data to whatever they need, the only way really is a blockchain enabled connectivity layer, which is always up and running. It doesn't go down. It's ultra scalable, and when a device wants to make that connection, it's going to be there. As long as the blockchain is being run by the people, it's going to be there. As opposed to, if device is configured to use some third-party software provider, it can work for maybe 2 years, but then that provider changes their software, and then that's it. Device cannot do that anymore. So I believe that there is going to be more and more automation and software and devices sort of making their own decisions and calls. And for that, they also need a software layer to communicate, as opposed to, integrating many different third-party softwares to enable that communication.
yes, indeed, Jonas. And well, look, software is eating the world, as we like to say. And it kind of sounds like, to me, in a way, you're talking about the Internet of Things and middleware solutions like Oracle solutions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but in the internet, the Oracle solutions are in a, with examples of, the Cloudflares, the AWSs, the VPN providers, which
Yes.
pay some
Still,
dollars a month.
yeah, trusted third parties. And well, so as I understand it, like in my notes here, it says that your tech, what you guys are building at Syntropy, has already been used to improve things like the performance of Minecraft servers, and that you've already partnered with major cloud systems like Oracle and Microsoft. I think they own Minecraft. But so So what does that mean? What have you been doing with Oracle and Microsoft? And is the Minecraft server a good example here?
So we've been working to enable this technology. It's not as simple because it's the internet, and we kind of had to take an approach where they make the technology real. We show how it works, and then we put it on blockchain, and then we enable, sort of a global layer through tokenomics and so on. So we had to make the technology, improve it, and we've been doing that successfully with the enterprises you mentioned. So the example is you mentioned for cloud providers, and cloud providers are an essential part of internet today because they own a large piece of infrastructure around the world, and people host applications on them. So when you use, be it Uber or whatever, a lot of the data travels through cloud providers as well as their own private infrastructure. So we work with every cloud provider. We have nodes or servers in our technology to make those optimizations on every provider network. In fact, we launched a network in 500 plus unique data center locations, and that involves 180 or today 200 plus different providers. So that is in effect every cloud provider and every deep virtual private server provider on the first 20 pages of Google you could find. So that is just to launch our network and to prove that our technology can route data traffic more efficiently than themselves. And that is like logically and fundamentally true because every single provider optimizes their network for themselves, right? They want to provide good service to their customers. What we do is we combine them together into one intelligent network, and then optimizations just appear everywhere. So we work with those providers closely because it helps to bring clients to them. It helps to find use cases where our technology is, combined to their services, creates new use cases for business or makes their clients do something better. And we also work with several other enterprises which are not cloud providers, but we do serve a large portion of the world's enterprises in terms of technology. And the use cases we trying to find with them is how this technology can make their clients' life easier, even today. And the Minecraft example you gave is a very, very good simplified example of the power of this technology, because a Minecraft server can be launched by everyone, right? So I can launch a server and then I can ask people to play at my server. And this is how it works. Thousands of people and companies hosting servers, and then millions of people worldwide are playing on them. But what they're doing in effect is making a connection between their computer and the server. And by and large, in gaming, especially, those connections weren't secure. Now, if you probably agree with me that game servers normally have public addresses. You go here and connect and play. That means they're open to attacks. And gaming servers are being attacked nonstop, like with DDoS, denial of service attacks, attacks to steal people's things inside the game, to steal their metadata, to attack their competitors. That happened in the tournaments. So gaming is a volatile area. And what this technology gives them is ability to, take 1,000 players and then you want to play with them in a single server, and it creates a secure connection between the player itself and the server itself directly, isolated from the public internet world, and also makes that connection more optimized. So if you're a gamer and you can shave 50 milliseconds off, that is a life and death for you in a game. Or if you're a gamer and you want to play in a different area, for example, which is very popular, like Asian servers are very popular and many European people want to play in a more competitive market, but the latency becomes an issue and you just can't play anymore. Whereas if our technology can shave 100 milliseconds off of you, then it allows you to participate in those markets and play together. So there's many angles how gaming can benefit from a technology like this. but from a technological perspective, it is as the same as a connection as your computer connecting to any other application or server, or your computer connecting to another computer, or a device connecting to a device. So it is the same connection. It's just much easier to illustrate how in gaming people actually suffer from latency, and they actually suffer every day from internet being non-secure and open.
Absolutely fascinating there, Jonas. Yeah, completely agree. Okay, well, look, we'll go to a break very soon, and then we'll come back, and quite excited to do the crypto conversation hot take round for you, because I just know that you're going to have some interesting things to say to the very famous crypto conversation hot take questions. But just before we do that, let's just finish off on Syntropy, and for anyone that's listening, and maybe there's some developers or some engineers or some technical people listening, let's just finish off. I'd love to get your just anything you want to say on the Syntropy Stack, because I see you've got a really neat little separate website that really digs into the actual technology stack there. So yeah, do you want to just talk about that?
Sure. So Syntropy Stack is the first bunch of utilities and a product we launched already, which allows every developer or DevOps people to start building on Syntropy and contribute to it. So we launched a builders program where we have incentives to create a task or pick a task which is needed for the world or our project, and then make a tutorial or develop some integration, and then get approved and earn incentives for it. So we already had dozens of submissions in terms of integrations with blockchains, integrations with games, creating fabulous things like connecting things together using our technology. And this way we encourage people to build and start this open ecosystem. And on top of Syntropy Stack, there is a very cool piece of technology we launched recently, which is DARP, our decentralized autonomous routing protocol, which is sort of running this whole thing and finding the optimizations around the internet. And there's a website for it where if you open up, you can instantly see a map of internet inefficiencies live, updating every second in front of you. And it shows like how if you send data from Amazon in London to Microsoft Azure in New York, is there better ways to send data rather than directly? And then maybe if you send data through another intermediary in Miami, that makes that connection faster. You can see that lighting up in front of your eyes. So for every network engineer, it's a fabulous tool to go and play around and find those inefficiencies, or find their own infrastructure places and see, oh, maybe if I use technology, it would actually save me 20% in data transmission. So that's something really cool. People can already play around and contribute. So we're launching open access very soon to DARP, so you can launch your own. You can launch DARP on your own device at home or at work or on a server, and compare. Does it make it a better? Does my machine help some other connections to make better? Or maybe is there a better way to send data from my machine to any point of interest that I have? So I think those two pieces of technology are definitely worth visiting for every developer and every network engineer already.
Fantastic. And we'll put links to those platforms, to those websites in the show notes. But let's go now to a very quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll have some fun. We'll finish off with the crypto conversation hot take round.
In today's crypto market, the team at Brave New Coin are the sector's leading builders of custom crypto indices. BNC's powerful indexing engine draws on Brave New Coin's premium data to calculate high-frequency intraday and end-of-day indices for a wide range of index products. BNC's custom indices help you to gain exposure to the crypto assets class and track your performance against the market without having to become a stock picker. Not sure what you need? a Brave New Coin consultant can help you assess your requirements. Contact BNC today to find out more. Are you ready to trade the future of crypto today? Introducing Leverage, a self-custodial decentralized exchange that performs with the speed and features you're accustomed to. Leverage is fast. It's powered by Gluon, a revolutionary DeFi infrastructure that makes DeFi work at scale. It brings speed, transparency, and massive gas efficiencies to its users. Say goodbye to exchange hacks, front-running, Ethereum network congestion, and high fees. Leverage is the future of trading. It combines the best features of CeFi with all the benefits of DeFi. Like William Gibson said, the future is already here, but in this case, it's evenly distributed and completely decentralized. Go to leverage.io and trade the future of crypto today.
All right, we're back, and I'm with Jonas from Syntropy. And look, Jonas, I like to finish each Crypto Conversation podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Sure, of course.
All right, I just want your hot takes here, just quick, snappy answers. Take your best shot. Here we go. Jonas, where do you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
I probably sit on the multi-coin opportunist spectrum because I believe this software will change in the world from being developed and run on cloud to being developed and deployed on blockchains. So I believe blockchain is the new cloud for software. That's why I sort of sit on a multi-blockchain spectrum.
Very nice, Jonas. Okay, well, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I think that maybe is the opposite of what I just said before, but I believe that decentralized governance is the way forward for both not only technology but finance as well. I just think that the tokenomics of some token papers or tokenomics papers are actually better economics than a lot of the economics we're having right now in the real world. So my famous conviction there would be that I believe some tokenomics are better than the economics we run by in the current world and believe that it is best.
Very good, very good. Okay, well, speaking of economics, here's a slight economics curveball for you, but a real-world example, perhaps, Jonas. UBI, Universal Basic Income, as a potential fix for either AI-induced automation or future wealth inequality in a dystopian world. UBI, is it a good idea or a bad idea?
In general, I believe it is a good idea. How it's implemented is a different question. But mathematically, if you're at 0, you can multiply 0 to whatever, it's still a 0. If you're at 1, you can multiply it by 1 and have more and grow your wealth. So I believe even mathematically, UBI is the right way to go to kind of get as many people out of a 0 territory into at least something territory so that there's something to work with.
Hard to argue with that, Jonas. Very sensible. I like it. Okay, well, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years, and you'll be familiar with this as a software engineer, and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So look, whatever you like here, Bitcoin, blockchain, Syntropy, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
That's funny you mention it because it's one of my favorite quotes and I truly believe in that. I'll give you a very good example. A year ago, many of the engineers we worked with, we had to put effort into proving that it's worth working on blockchain technologies because, we kept saying it's slow, it doesn't work, it keeps being hacked all the time, etc. And then we only had smart contracts. When Ethereum came, it has smart contracts and people say it's slow, never gonna happen. Only a year later, look at it now. We've got, software being run on blockchains, like decentralized applications, which actually work now and they are of good performance. And now, many of the enterprises and engineers we talk to, they look at blockchain as another piece of technology like databases or something, whereas before it was like, oh, it doesn't work. So it didn't take 10 years. I believe 10 years in blockchain space, you will see every blockchain connected together, developers deploying apps in an instant on blockchains, and people using blockchains without knowing it by just using applications. And think of it, when internet came, there was millions of ideas, but sort of the Amazons grew up from it. Now, blockchain space still doesn't have any, the Uber or the Airbnb, the applications which bring it to sort of mainstream users. So, that didn't happen. So I think with events like that, when someone makes an application everybody uses and it's powered by blockchain, that will, shift and make the speed of adoption skyrocket.
Yes, indeed. Fantastic stuff. Okay, well, here's another quote for you, and another one that I'm sure you will know. William Gibson, famous sci-fi author, said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Yeah, I do have an example, and maybe it's an off-topic from our conversation. I believe space travel and space exploration is here, but we don't know about it. That, what I sometimes say and call is a cat out of a box moment, where, as soon as you make one rocket land back on Earth, that's it. You can no longer make rockets which don't land.
Yes.
And it's just a fact. And then the amount of companies creating and making space technologies now are just so little, but now we already have sort of fundamental shifts in technology which just haven't been utilized to the max. So and we already see articles like space hotels opening up in 4 years time, first Mars, starships landing in like 7 years time and things like that. Moon lunar base is being built in 5 years time, and 5 years is nothing. So you don't expect it now, but like truly 5 years later, you'll have maybe a moon lunar base. So I believe space technologies are here, but people are just still not haven't opened their eyes to it.
Very good, very good. I love that. And look, anything space related or sci-fi related, as you'll find out very soon, is not off topic at all. We're almost done here, Jonas. It's time to zoom out, time to get a little bit weird. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see utopia?
I believe long-term there is still, there is expansion of consciousness, which is sort of entropic. It started with, the first mammals, etc. And then the consciousness just expanded over millions of years. So I believe, people will become first interplanetary, then intergalactic, and then the sort of the power running people will become, instead of greed and money, it will be sort of distributed governance, common goal, which is big, and sort of much wider consciousness. So
Kardashev scale.
Yeah, so I believe physical bodies will change, but like as you see sometimes in sci-fi, it's like the human consciousness will expand into like transferable things and be a blob connected with everything, and kind of feel everything and everyone, and send data in incredible amounts of data and incredible speeds to make use of it and create more data and basically become one with the universe we live in. That's a very long future I envision, but I see it that way.
Oh man, I love that. That is superb. All right, let's finish this off, Jonas, and I think you'll enjoy this final question, and I'll be curious to see what your answer is. But the question is, finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, show, or universe?
That's actually not my favorite questions. I'm not so much of a film or a book guy. what I do normally is I watch science videos on YouTube, so I can easily spend a 4-hour streak of quantum physics or public science festival videos.
Yeah.
So Public Science Festival is my favorite show in the world, where scientists dig down into subjects and put them into sort of simple language and try to explain quantum to you. And then you spend 100 hours in quantum and you still don't get it. It's amazing. So, that's my favorite show is Public Science Festival.
Oh, I love that. That's a brilliant answer. And it reminds me of, you could listen to Eric Weinstein be on podcasts, or Joe Rogan talking about gauge theory for 100 hours and probably never understand it either. Anyway, I digress. This has been a lot of fun, Jonas. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Nothing else to say really, except to hand the microphone back to you and say, tell the people where they can go to find you on your various platforms, and where they should go to find out what you guys are building at Syntropy.
Sure. So, I think the best way to find out is sort of the Telegram group and the Medium article where we post all the latest updates. So we just recently received more publicity as 2 very large technology grants joined the company, former executives at large companies like AT&T, Verizon, Microsoft. So we're getting more traction, and there's a lot of things to read about and how the company is progressing to sort of, in the user space and enterprise world. So please check our Medium articles, our Telegram group, where you get all these updates and the latest updates. And of course, you can find me and the Syntropy on Twitter as well.
Fantastic. A pleasure talking to you today, Jonas. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you so much for having me again.